What went down in God Valley? Hello, One Piece enthusiasts. I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's tackle one of the most interesting incidents, or perhaps the most mysterious incident, one of the most mysterious incidents in the One Piece world. What really happened at God Valley, how it started, and how it went the way it did, and of course, everything revolving around it. Before we move on, make sure to like and subscribe, it helps the channel a lot. Now that you have, let's begin. Where do we begin? We begin with, of course, how it all started. With the previous chapter, 1095, we've got flashback as to how God Valley was sort of prominent for the world government. Before we knew that it was the place where celestial dragons lived or stayed or were present. And now we know why. God Valley, from the world's government perspective, was a hunting ground for the slaves. This is a place where they used to have fun hunting down slaves, bringing slaves here, hunting them down for their pleasure, and the strongest would survive and become better slaves. That's where we got introduced to Kuma Ivankov and another probable member of the Revolutionary Army, Ginny. So, where does it all begin? It all begins with Figurl and Garling being there as well. Now, okay, Figurl and Garling, from what we know, is the head of the 10 Holy Knights, the top 10 generals of the world government, the strongest 10 individuals within the world government, even stronger assumed to be on level with Marines. And of course, he's the head. Of course, he's also probably a family member, most likely father of Shanks, who is also a member of the Figurl family. And this is where our story begins. From what it is assumed, when the fight went on, the fight at God Valley between the Rocks Pirates and Roger and Garp, it happened because Garp was trying to slave celestial dragons, and Roger somehow ended up there fighting alongside him to fight against Rocks, the most prominent figure in the world, in the pirate world as of that time. Now, from what I can guess, of course, this became a prominent hunting ground for the celestial dragons. Celestial dragons used to be there with the slaves almost every often. Like, this is a once in a year thing, of course, that's what I've heard. That's what Figurl said. Well, if it is one of those once in a year thing, maybe in the future, that once in a year thing when the time came about. And of course, Rocks attacked God Valley. Now, why would someone like Rocks care about God Valley? Of course he does, because back then, there was probably something called the King of the Pirates, but we remember Rocks' goal was to become the king of the world. Sort of the same as Blackbeard. As stated in the previous few chapters, Blackbeard also wants to be king of the world, and he wants a kingdom for himself, which is why he kidnapped Koby, to make negotiations with the Marines so that Hachinosu would be considered as an official kingdom under the world government. Well, from this I can assume that, Rocks probably wanted to do the same. Get into God Valley, a hive full of celestial dragons who are infinitely more prominent to the world government than Marines, capture them, hold them captive, and then negotiate with the world government either for more power, for more negotiating powers, a kingdom for himself as well. That was entirely possible, and you know how the world government is like. That is probably the reason why Rocks ended up at God Valley, and Garp had to be there because he knew Rocks was attacking. He needed to save celestial dragons because that is the utmost priority. And then we've got Garp there. Now, as to why Roger's there, this is my hypothesis as to why Roger was there. Roger either ended up there as a happen chance, or Garp actually did invite Roger to fight against Rocks, because Rocks, for Roger at that time, was a prominent enemy. If there was any rival for Roger at that time, it was probably Rocks. So either Roger took up that opportunity and fought alongside Garp, or just happened to be there by happen chance. So other than this, I don't really see anything else plausible as to why Roger would be there. but this is my upcoming conclusion. Now, of course, what happened at God Valley, we still don't know. We know that they've fought. God Valley was destroyed. We don't know what it was. We don't know how the fight went. Of course, we know the pirate crew rocks disbanded. Kaido and Big Mom separated. Whitebeard along his own way. And the rest of them scattered up, leaving the Rocks pirates disbanded. And Garp became known as the hero of the Marines, and Roger gained his infamy. From what I could speculate, of course, Whitebeard being the kind of person he is, we are likely assuming that Whitebeard probably betrayed the Rocks pirates because he wasn't really a fan of how it ruled. And that being said, yeah, it's entirely plausible that, yeah, Whitebeard did probably switch sides. And another interesting thing that came up, I've been listening to a few people talk about it, when Whitebeard met up with Shanks, he said, "When I see you, I remember the scar I got from him." Now, of course, my initial speculations was that it was Roger, but I don't really think Whitebeard would consider Roger that man because they were both rivals and friends. So, for Whitebeard to say that man probably means the ambiguity that Oda has left. It's probably got to do with someone we didn't know back then that we know now. And from what it seems, it could probably be Figurlin Garling. The more the days go by, I like to think that, yeah, some of these people who came up with this theory is probably correct. And if that were to be the case, if Figurlin Garling did fight against Whitebeard, that makes sense because Figurlin Garling was with the Marines, or with the world government, and of course they had a fight. That probably makes some sense. And of course, the resemblance between Shanks and Figurlin Garling is unmistakable. Also, God Valley probably came about the inspiration for the Revolutionary Army for Dragon, because for a long time now, we've been speculating that Dragon was a member of the Marines, and this could probably be one of those reasons that led Dragon to leading a Revolutionary Army. Of course, he came up with the Revolutionary Army thing after the Ohara incident, but remember, he was still running an infamous gang trying to take over the world government. He was still rebellious, and my speculation, also speculation of a lot of others, is that Dragon became like this after he saw what happened in God Valley. He saw slaves being targeted, he saw what the Celestial Dragons were, he knew what he was fighting for, he had a change in perspective, and then he switched sides. And of course we know that the key members of the Revolutionary Army was there. We knew Kuma, we knew Ivankov, two of the most well-known figures amongst the Revolutionary Army. And if they were there, if Ginny, from what I think, Ginny is probably the mother of Bonnie, or rather Kuma and Ginny were a thing. This is how Bonnie came about. And of course, if Figurlin Garling was there, and if Figurlin Garling was there, and he needed to protect his son from, of course, invasion or whatnot, the only way to protect his child was to protect him by putting him in a treasure box where he was safe. That's how Roger ended up with Shanks. That is my concluding idea, everyone. This is how I sort of sum up the God Valley incident from what it seems for now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and peace.